Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another edition of Speed Talk. Been a little while. Last time we did one of these was about mid-July with Tyler Erb. Tonight we are joined by a five-time USMTS national champion, your returning USMTS national champion out of Happy, Texas, Rodney Sanders. Welcome to the podcast, Rodney.
Yeah, thanks for having me on.
How we doing tonight? What do we got going on for your busy week coming up?
I'm actually down at a friend's shop in Arkansas and getting all my stuff ready to head to Waco tomorrow. We'll probably leave tomorrow night, and I think it's about 8 hour drive. So try to get down there tomorrow night and get ready for the big race over there this weekend.
That's our Thursday.
Practice is Wednesday, but then after practice they have an all-star race that pays 10 grand, and we're a part of that. So we'll
Perfect.
actually
Right?
race Wednesday.
How long is
after
that?
practice. It's 10,000 to win all-star race.
Is
How
that
many
something?
laps are you getting that?
I think it's 24. There's 24 cards, just 24 cards in it, and we qualify after practice, and then I don't know. I'm assuming 24, 30 maybe. I don't even know, honestly.
So now is that like the USRA Nationals does, or like Super National, you got to win a race to get
Shootout.
into that, like a championship race or something like that?
I think they had like half the field or maybe 10 of the field on just like all-stars that, or past champions or, stuff like that. And I think another 10 was off of fan vote.
Okay.
Gotcha.
So speaking of fan vote, saw the big news. You're going to Gateway this year.
Well, it's in the works. I mean, we're most likely. It's definitely in the works, but I don't know. I don't know. I guess 100% sure, but we're leaning toward it for sure.
So I got two questions there. How many bumpers are you taking, and how many T-bars are you taking?
Well, if I take my car, the MB bumpers aren't very tough, so we'd have to maybe do something there. But definitely, probably a lot of bumpers, T-bars, front end parts. I'm thinking.
Yeah, because you can't hook up on an MB front bumper, can you? Didn't we have that issue, Parker? Ripping
they
it
don't
off.
hold up. They don't hold up very well. You kind of got to go right in front of the radiator. It seems like.
Yeah, no, they're not made for something like that. That's for sure. I can
If you
turn it
get-
upside down, and it actually, like, if I hit somebody, hits it better, but it kind of looks retarded.
Yeah.
So
You got to find someone down there to build you like a big old cattle bar. If they don't have bumper rules, just build a big old cattle prod in the front and just mow your way to the front.
yeah, it's got to be tough taking a really nice straight race car down there and just knowing you're gonna probably tear your shit up.
I know that's where I'm kind of, I don't know, on the fence about taking my stuff for sure, but we'll probably be there one way or another. Just I don't know what car for sure yet.
Sure. Will it
If
be
you
a
do
Mars
go
car?
there,
What's that?
Will it be a Mars car? More than likely, if it's not yours.
Well, I don't even know that for sure, to be honest. So, I got a buddy of mine that has a car back home that David Tanner has I think it's a Western Flyer car, and that's a possibility. He said I could take that, but it's not, like I said, nothing for sure yet. So we got to do a little bit of work here, figuring it out.
when you do figure it
Like
out,
it-
you gotta make sure to bring some T-shirts down there because
Yeah.
from everyone I've heard, you'll sell out of just about everything.
Yeah, I think that's kind of the part of the reason we're looking into maybe, part of the reason to go. I feel like if we go, we don't get in that area very often, so maybe we could, kind of talk with, maybe sharing a booth with Jake and Emma or something. So
Yep.
just make it more feasible. So we're looking at that, but we'll see what happens for sure.
I remember talking with Tyler at Go for 50 this year about Gateway, and I just got talking with him about, just how the whole racing thing goes, merchandise, whatnot. He said at Gateway that year he won it, he sold more dollars in T-shirts than he did when he won the big show Saturday night.
Wow, that's
Crazy.
amazing. Yeah, that's crazy. It's crazy.
So-
I've been to that event, and it's like really badass event, just to be a part of. But I keep thinking, like, man, it looks cool, and then they have a big pile up or tear up something. It's like, man, I'm glad I'm not in it. But
I'm glad I'm
Stuck
up
in the
here sitting
fence.
sitting in the stands drinking beer.
right, yeah,
Because
so,
you've never been a part of Gateway, have you? Racing?
nope. I've been invited a couple times, right away, and I never done it. And I don't know. It's just kind of thinking like kind of something I might want to try, but it might be a one and done, or I don't know. I guess see what it's about.
Jake tore quite a bit of stuff up last year, and he still wants to go back. So I don't know. You'd have to find out for yourself.
Everyone
Yeah.
everyone I talk to on that deal is like, they all kind of say the same thing. You know, you're probably gonna go down there and tear up shit. You know, the chances of you realistically winning aren't very good, but they said there's something about just that first time you pull onto that racetrack in a car and you look up in the environment from the racetrack. They said there's nothing else like it. So I think it'd be pretty cool if you had that opportunity to experience experience that.
Yeah, that's kind of what I thought. I mean, that Saturday night, a lot of people there, so it's just, be pretty awesome to race in front of that many people.
Do
And
the driver
honestly,
intros and the pyro and all that stuff.
yeah.
It's pretty neat just to walk out in front of those people. It'd be kind of cool. So
Yeah,
That
for
is pretty
sure.
sweet. Honestly though, they got it set up to where like if you obviously everybody needs luck, but if you're fast and you qualify quick enough, I mean, and you don't screw it up, you should be in the front of that feature. I mean,
Right.
it's wide open for just about anyone, is what I'm saying. It's as long as you can qualify. Which sucks is that'd be like your first time on the track would be qualifying, I'm pretty sure. I don't
Yeah,
think they give you any time for anything else.
yeah, that's another thing too. Like, going, pretty much your stuff has to be right because, you don't have any time on the track to test. So that's, kind of a crapshoot, but I guess it's the same for everybody.
You
So
got like
So
a
let-
6
let me
second
ask you-
lap to figure it out.
let me ask you this. You had a practice session with Mars at Thunder Hill one time in your modified, right? You have experience on a very small track.
Yeah,
So
that
I would think
that was
Gateway's
definitely
bigger
small.
than Thunder Hill. So
Yeah, but I was by myself. Like, I don't know how that would be, if you had even 4 or 5 cars out there, but
you're pretty
it,
tight.
yeah, I mean, obviously if they can get late models around there, so I don't know. It
I mean, hell,
looks,
Thornton and Simpson put on a good race that first night last year in the late model. They were sliding each other. That was pretty wild. So I feel like you could do the same with the modified. Especially, it's got to help if you've had some laps at a track like Thunder Hill where they're racing go-karts and you've had your full-scale modified out there.
yeah, no, definitely. I mean, I think like you guys said, I think qualifying is going to be, pretty huge. Just it seems like if you could ever get clean air and, hopefully not have to worry about traffic, it'll be a lot better. But, it's always easier looking into it than actually doing it. So
My
we'll
favorite
see.
thing about Gateway, it seems like every year there's like this there's the hero of the year every year. Like, first year it was Tyler Carpenter, and then Tyler Carpenter was kind of a big deal. And then there was like that Ryan Unzicker, he ran really good the first couple of years, and Tanner English. It's just every year it seems like there's a new guy that kind of just, I don't want to say nobody really knows about, but all of a sudden kind of makes his name for himself because of the Gateway Dirt National. So I always like to see that every year. I think that's pretty cool. Oh, we lost
I
Ryan.
could just lost him.
Lost them.
Let's see if we can get him back
Dude,
on.
that Charlie Medford or whatever, I had no clue who that guy was until Gateway.
Yeah, right. Here, I'm gonna resend him see if I can resend him a invite here real quick. Sorry about this, guys. We're gonna try to get this technical difficulty worked out here. There we go. He's coming back.
Oh, shit.
There we go.
There, he's back.
I had a call coming in. I tried to get out of it, but it.
That wouldn't be
That's
the
okay.
first time that's happened. When we had Turbo on here, he was like mid conversation and his phone just died, and that was all we heard from him.
And
It
that was
like,
the end of the podcast.
So then we had to figure out how to get this video off my computer to another computer so we could edit that part out. And so I'm glad you came back in a timely manner. But no, like I was saying, it seems like Gateway, every year there's someone that stands out that nobody knew about, like Zach just said, like that Charlie Medford kid. Like I'd never heard about him till he stood on his roof after he junked his race car. And it just that's what makes Gateway so cool. It's quite an event.
Yeah, it's definitely a cool event.
And it was cool to see. I think they just signed a contract for like another 5 years or something like
It's
that.
like 2027 or something.
Or like a few years, yeah. because I
Yeah.
think this was scheduled to be the last year.
Yeah,
Last year they're supposed to have it.
that's what I heard too, is they were gonna cancel it, and then yeah, I saw that contract extension. And
So anyway,
Yeah.
switching over from Gateway, want to get your take a little bit on your USMTS season, just your season in general this year. How have things been going for you this year in your eyes?
I would say kind of mediocre. I mean, I don't know if I'd rate it, I'd be like out of scale grade, maybe like a B minus or something. I mean, it's good. Don't get me wrong, but we got really high expectations. So like, I think I think might have the second most wins or something like that. But it's just our consistency's kind of been, we've been, you know, third, fourth, fifth, sixth a lot, but it just seems like Jake and Jim honestly have been better than us. So we're, just kind of, I feel like probably right, we're third in points and probably kind of sitting where we really are. So, I feel like if things go our way or whatever, we can beat them, but they just kind of been a little better than us. So we just got to work on it and get a little faster.
What do you think of that point battle heading towards the end of the year?
I think it's probably going to come down to the end of it. I think there's probably some tracks coming up that both of them, maybe, I don't even know if they've been to, or I know if they have, not many laps. So
Right.
it might be pretty interesting for sure.
So what would you say, you got Jim and Jake. I feel like there's definitely a different dynamic for each of them drivers. I mean, I feel like Jake in the last couple of years is, I don't want to say tamed down. Jake is wicked
Yeah,
fast.
it's calmed down a lot. I mean, he'll run the bottom and win
You
a
got
race.
you got Jake Tim out there, you might be out lead and all of a sudden here comes Jake throwing sparks on the wall. And then you got nights where you got Jim who's driving right through the center like a go-kart. It's just two very different driving styles. I guess where should I go from this? Let's say you're lined up next to each one on the front row. Who would you rather start next to if you had to start next to one of them?
I would say probably Jake. I feel like Jake and I race really well. Like we can race aggressive, but it seems like there's never any issues on anything. So, I just enjoy racing with Jake. So
Yeah,
I'd say Jake.
gotcha.
Where do you feel sitting in third to those two? What do you feel like you need, or maybe you're lacking with the car, or where you're at during a race? Like, do you think you push it too hard early and you need more at the end, or is it kind of the opposite? Like, don't go hard enough early on and you need more towards the end, or what are you kind of feeling from the driver's seat?
I just feel like early in the night I feel like I'm pretty good with them, but as the track dries out, I just feel like I burn, like I'm just not stuck on the track enough, and I'll kind of slide across and burn up my tires more. Just as the race, I just feel like I'm always kind of sliding up the track instead of being stuck and going down the track. So if there's anything for us to lean on, we're pretty good. But I feel like at times we're making some gains, but I feel like my balance is like I can hit it right, but I got to change a lot more. I feel like them two, their balance is really well, and they can pretty much take the same thing to track and be really good out of the box, where I can be, but sometimes I got to make super big swings. So I know sometimes your consistency isn't there, but we've tried to say we win one night, not change it, go to a different track and run eighth. So I just feel like, I feel like we're not far off. Like, I definitely think we got a little work to do, but we're definitely not giving up. But I just feel like their balance is just a little better. The longer the race goes, like longer race for sure.
And that's tough,
Gotcha.
racing at the level you race at. Anyone knows a 10th here, a 10th there at that level is everything. You can be a 10th off them guys in a 50 lap race. They're going to drive away from you.
Yeah, for sure. And it just seems like they always shine, at the end of the race. They're always up there, so, and it's not that we're not either, but I feel like they're the 3% that, I need to pick up on, that's always the hardest to get. But, and it's definitely tough running with, at the Deer Creek, Fountain City, that area of just competition. There might be 20 cars, at a local night, but 7 or 8 of them could win. It don't matter if there's 100 cars there. So
Right.
it's just, which is good. It, makes us all better, but like go there on a local night and get beat by the same 200 that run the national tour.
National tour.
Yeah.
So now
Do you feel?
Oh, go ahead, buddy.
I was gonna say, so these upcoming tracks to finish out the rest of the USMTS schedule. I'm assuming they're tracks you've probably been to. Do you feel like maybe you have like the upper hand with a little luck, just being that you've maybe turned more laps at these tracks than Jake and Jim?
I mean, possibly, but I mean, they're, like I said, their stuff's been good everywhere they've gone. And I feel like, they're good enough drivers that they can adapt super quick. I mean, Amarillo, the next track, I've probably got more laps there than anybody. That's basically my home track, but I haven't ran there in 4 or 5 years. But we used to run there on a weekly basis growing up. But, and some of the other tracks, I've been there, but it's not like I got, tons of laps. But I mean, it definitely does help knowing the, characteristics of, how the track changes and, the lines of the track definitely help. But, at the end of the day, I feel like they're still going to be really tough. So,
Fast, yeah.
Well, and one of them, I mean, is there one or two that you're going back to? Like, isn't 81 back on the schedule at the end of the year? And then
yeah, 81
I
at
guess
Lakeside.
I don't really
Lakeside,
at Lakeside,
yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So, I mean, we've had, I feel like them are a couple tracks coming up. I feel like are some of our better tracks. Like it seems like, we've done pretty well at those. So, this Waco track is definitely a wild card. I feel like I haven't been there in a long time, which we got the big race this weekend, but I think the last USMTS race is down there too, or one of the last ones. So I've been there a few times and it's been different about every time. So
What kind of is it a big track? Is it a small track? I guess I've never seen it.
it's fairly small. It's got kind of wide corners. But the dirt on it's really kind of when it's wet, like starting out, it seems like it's really greasy. Like might pull 15 tear offs in a heat race kind of thing, just super muddy. But then if it gets dry, I've been there before, and if it gets super dry, it'll rubber up. So, it's also been probably 8-9 years since I've been there, but I just remember when it was wet, it was super, that slimy, just super wet stuff.
I feel like Lucas Oil is like that exact way. Like or at least when we were down there, went from like slime to just dry slick, like
Yeah.
slippery, fast, and then all of a sudden there was rubber.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's kind of the same aspect. I mean, this dirt, I remember, is more like a black jumbo type stuff, but it's kind of the same aspect when it's wet and slimy. Like it's just, I don't even know. Like the bad thing is I'm typically not very good in that condition, but I don't know. It just seems like it's such a wild card because you get a lot of local guys that run really good in that area when it's like that. So I think that them tracks might be the biggest wild card.
Like I know one guy that always sticks out when you guys go south. Seems like Jack Sartain. Every time you guys go south, he always has a race every year where he just comes down and just whoops up on you boys. Seems like the last few years he's been really good down there.
Yeah, this is I feel like he's probably one of the ones that probably is, one of the ones to beat, especially if it's like that. It's I'd say him and that Tristan Dykes is another, and there's several in that area that, they're just so much different that they're good. And yeah, that Sartain, I think he won from a B main this year and smoked us. So
Yeah, he was fast. I remember that night Jake was leading and he started like 17th and he was going like, I remember looking at lap times and he was like 6/10 faster a lap. It was just crazy. And the track was mudded up and rough and he was just hauling ass.
yeah, that's kind of how I think Waco could be. You never know though. But
So Rodney, now we're talking about tracks and conditions. This brings to a question. What's your favorite racetrack of all time? Out of all the places you've raced at, do you have a favorite or at least a top 5?
yeah, probably I-80 Speedway in Nebraska. I always liked that place. I mean, it was a big track, but it didn't race like a big track. It was super wide, but I mean, it was so wide and racy, feature time that seemed like if you had a fast enough car to win, you could, even if you started 20th, you could get up there and win the race. So it was probably the biggest track I've been to that raced, like your Deer Creek or something that, 3-4 wide and, if you were faster, you could just kind of go where they wasn't.
The place is
Yeah,
pretty
it's too
sweet.
bad that place is closed down now because I went to the last year the Silver Dollar Nationals, and whether it was modified race or a late model race, they were just all good. Like you said, it's like they go out water throughout the day. They didn't grade it, they didn't rough it up or anything, and just come race time, wheel pack it in, and the racing was great. So
It
that,
I
used to
remember,
be
that's
it
a good
used to be
one.
sweet when it was USMTS and
yeah.
late models. And then they kind of didn't they take that away the last couple of years? Because when I went down there with Jake, like you guys were racing USMTS for sure. And then I don't know if they did it after that. And that was probably 2019 or 2020, something like
Yeah,
that.
I think the last year or two they ran IMCA mods, but I think we
Oh
ran
yeah.
with the late models for, I'm gonna guess, 6, 7, 8 years, something like that.
I just remember one year, I think it was Jake and Derek Ramirez had a really good race for the lead in the modified show, and I think Derek passed Jake with like 1 to go or something.
Hmm.
I think it was like 2019 or 2020. I just remember it was a really good race. But yeah, that was always a cool place. I think everybody always liked watching races over there. It's too bad they closed down.
Yeah, it was, kind of hard on motor, especially early in the night, but just because the speed of it. But it wasn't, like a great big, huge half mile that, when somebody got out front, the race was over kind of deal. So that's what I, was just crazy about it. It was so big, but didn't race like, super big track.
Yeah.
So I hate to bring up a sore subject with you, but you just brought up motors. You had a rough stretch of some motors earlier this year. I think it was Webster City. You blew one or blew two in the same night or something like that.
Yeah,
Webster was
Wasn't it Webster?
Yeah, Webster was hard on
I
everybody. I'm
remember
pretty sure there was about 6 backup cars coming out after hot laps. I'm dead serious.
because I thought you had like you had a new stolen motor in or something, and you blew it up, and then did you blow one up at Fountain City that weekend or something as well?
Not that we want to badmouth Stone,
Yeah.
yeah,
by the way. We're,
yeah. So yeah, we broke that one at Webster, and then broke one at that 100,000 in the heat race,
That's
and
what
then
it was. Yeah.
limped it on, to get in, and
What
yeah,
failed
it
on
was,
that one? Because I heard you with like 2 to go going down the backstretch or 1 to go, and I think you and Joe Chisholm were racing for position, and it sounded, I don't know if you had a cylinder laid down or what happened, but it did not sound good when you went by.
yeah, no, it laid down, and I was like, man, I knew it was hurt. I didn't want to keep running, but at the same point, I'm like, if I pull in, I know my weekend's for sure done. On the last lap, and I thought I already, passed a lot of cars in that heat race, and I can't believe I held on, even the third, but
Mhm.
I felt like the last lap, I felt like I was just trying to go wide open around the bottom, and I was like 30 mph slower in the field. But I guess I don't know if I was smoking them out or what was going on, but held on.
Now that's been a while, but did you hit top five at the 100,000?
We ended up ninth.
I got up ninth. I couldn't remember. It's been what was that, early May?
Yeah.
yeah.
That was what were your thoughts on Cade that week? And that was pretty impressive.
Yeah, he was definitely the class of the field. He's been about any time he gets in his mind about the class of the field. So yeah, whatever he's got going, he's been fast. So he was, yeah, it's crazy. Broke stuff and seems like he got faster. So crazy to me how it worked, but he definitely was.
Yeah.
That
But
modified for him is just a money maker. I feel like that thing just comes out when there's big money on the line and he just fucking spanks ass.
Yeah, definitely. I bet he'd probably won more money than that in his late model and ran it, 5 times. So
Rodney, I guess what I wanted to ask you, we've been asking a lot of racing questions, obviously the racing podcast, but I've had some people ask, who's Rodney Sanders outside of racing? I mean, what do you like to do when you're not behind the wheel?
I'm pretty laid back, really. I mean, I like watching football for sure, like this time of year.
You a Cowboys fan?
Yeah, yeah, unfortunately.
I'm sorry.
Bad week to be on this. So
Skull Vikes. Sorry, I had to say it.
yeah, I'm Rowan, a little boy. He loves the Vikings, so we always give each other a hard time because he always says the Cowboys suck. Which, yeah, after this weekend they've sucked. So, definitely like doing that and just spending time with Rowan and my wife. So, it don't all, we race almost probably, I'm going to say 40 weekends out of the year or something maybe. So we do that a lot. So it's nice sometimes to just, when I'm not racing, just kind of hang out and relax.
Now I
That's what
remember.
I was just gonna say that is I feel like you don't have
Yeah.
just any time off almost ever. I feels like you guys are just about, it's probably that gap between like end of the year and Wild West Shootout. You probably get the most time to reset and get all your stuff figured out.
Yeah, I mean, it's nice, like I said, to have a break, but then, you don't race for a couple weeks and then it's, like, man, I need to, be doing something. So I'm not very good at just sitting around really. So
Right.
it is nice to do it once in a while, but a little bit, few weeks over it, then I'm ready to do something else. So, yeah, but definitely a pretty big sports fan. I mean, for sure football. I even watch basketball some. So, just kind of just like watching sports in general.
I remember a viral picture going around of you in about fourth grade. You were a little basketball player. They used to share it on USMTS.
Yeah, damn it, Rinkin.
Rankin started that.
Well, I think he got a hold of the picture and made it really go viral.
Oh, yeah, that sounds about
So
right.
now I guess I've always kind of wondered when you guys race as much as you do, whether it's, USMTS, World of Outlaws, Lucas Oil, whatever it is, like us guys that race weekly or, we race 20, 30, 40 shows a year, come this time of the year, we're kind of winding down. We get a break till March, April to, tear the car apart and go through everything, make sure, I mean, you guys don't really get a whole lot of time to just kind of step back. I don't know, like I said, tear the car apart. Like I said, we get an off season to go through everything. You guys don't really get that. So do you guys sometimes just kind of have to take a step back during the grind of things and just say, hey, we gotta pull shit apart, go through stuff, just kind of freshen stuff up?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, especially, for, we kind of got a sequence on like how many laps we put on stuff before we change it or whatever, and then if we're, if we get to struggling, then really go on another level as far as taking stuff apart. But, a lot of times you kind of do that, within 3 or 4 days between the next race. So you get some, sometimes some pretty busy days. So,
Right.
you kind of get them all jam packed, but, I guess it's kind of part of it. But, if it everything goes smooth, a lot of times it's not too bad. But it's kind of almost like a farmer or something. There's times you
Right.
really, you really got to work hard, and then there's times that you get a little downtime. So it's just it's not a typical, just 9 to 5 every day. I mean, sometimes it's like that, but sometimes it's 15, 16 hour days.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Have to,
no, go ahead, buddy. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say you have to take some more Sundays off next year. The worst thing was traveling 2 hours on a Sunday night, and then all of a sudden Rodney Sanders is here, who was in Missouri last night racing USMTS. Thought I was gonna come to Mason City, race against 6 mods, and
And the
Rodney
6
pulled it.
mods are Rodney Sanders, Joe Chisholm, Jim Chisholm, Jake Tim, and Parker Hale and Zach Brown.
Yeah, no kidding. It's like a lot of times, we stay up at Vern's shop there at Casson, so we drive pretty much right by there. So
Yeah,
sometimes it's hard not to stop, especially when it was 1,500 to win. So
yeah, they paid good almost all year. Like they have
Yeah.
pretty good payouts.
yeah,
So
for
now,
sure.
I guess a question I got for it: where you live at during the season? Are you up in Minnesota? I mean, are you living in Minnesota? Are you still living happy or?
Morgan and I have a place in Hampton.
Oh,
So
okay.
off 52, north of Cannon Falls, just a
Gotcha.
little bit.
Gotcha.
So, and then in the wintertime, I'll leave, take everything pretty much all to my dad's in Texas. And then I kind of go back and forth, just kind of depending on, my schedule and with Rowan and all that. It's definitely harder the winter time, just because I got to do a lot more traveling as far as flying or whatever to go back and forth. But I spend probably majority of the time for sure from March till usually October, November, all in Minnesota.
Okay.
So
No, I've always wondered how that worked. I mean, not just you, but a lot of you touring guys like I know Jake O'Neill, spends a lot of time at like John First Place in Clear Lake. And I mean, you guys all got to have people that you know when you're out on the tour. You know, you need a shop to use or whatever. You got to have a lot of connections that you've built up over the years. I mean, look at you right now. You're sitting in Arkansas at a guy's shop, you know.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, like Jake and especially like, Texas is bad, but he's, even further. So just, Lance Murray is another one that, you just gotta, you can't, it don't really make sense to go back home, or back to, clear across the country. So, yeah, it works out just like, Minnesota. I feel like that Iowa, Minnesota is a very good spot. You can hit a lot of racetracks and they race a lot, the middle of the summer. So it just, works out good for all of us.
So now, do you got
big money mod racing up here this year too?
right?
Yeah.
Lots of it.
So do you got a USMTS car that stays up in Minnesota with you, and then do you have a car down at your dad's place?
Nope. I just have everything with me wherever I go.
Okay.
So my trailer a lot of times, like right now, is just completely full because I got to pretty much pack everything to go back, back south. So, which we keep a few parts at both shops, but for the most part, I just have about everything in my trailer.
Big rolling toolbox. Yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty much all it is. Yeah.
Yep.
Toolbox / garage.
So Rodney, you've been on the tour for, geez, I don't know. How long have you been on tour? 15 years?
I'm going to say a good 10. 12. Yeah, probably more like 12.
Because I remember there was a time I remember I came up to you. You probably don't remember this. I was a little shit at Mississippi Thunder. I was like 7, 8 years old, and I was dead set. You had a purple and green Hughes car. And I told my dad, I walked up to you. I said, I'm going to wrap my slingshot like you next year. I don't know if you remember that. It was a long time ago.
Yeah, I do remember that actually.
But I mean, that's kind of when I remember you start in the black and blue Hughes car. And then it was like, then you're in the purple car. And then all of a sudden it was like, you got your Mars deal. And then I think it was, what was it? 13, 14. You had that year that you just won everything. I mean, it was like, arguably like the most dominant USMTS season since probably Kelly's 09 year, when you first got in that Mars stuff. But what would you say has been the biggest, in your 10, 12 years? How has the tour changed? I mean, what's the biggest changes you've seen throughout, the last decade or so?
Just basically all the different, a lot of different drivers coming and going and, whatever. I feel like it's super tough to be competitive, like, obviously you got moments, but just to be, top threat throughout the whole time is really tough. I feel like Jason Hughes has done it really well. I mean, Shyrock did it for a long time. So, it's just really tough to, hard to get there, but it's hard to, just stay just because, all the changes, you guys know the suspension and technology to just keep up on it. So, I would say that's just the biggest thing. It's just trying to keep up with the, keep up with the changes in technology.
Yeah. That's
Yeah,
probably
like
another
that's
reason
ever-
racing on like going back to just like stopping at Mason on a Sunday. I mean, that's basically just kind of a free test day for you, really, isn't it?
Yeah, and that's a lot of times what we'll, try to do is, I mean, which I'm not afraid to try to USMTS race too, especially for like buried or whatever. But
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, we don't get to, like, last year was really nice because it seemed like we ran the same track for 3 nights and had a practice night. So it really helped me to kind of tune in where I needed to be. Cause like I said, like we've, been good, but I feel like my standard, I guess, is changes here and there. So, it's just them local nights definitely help to try stuff, but it's still like, hard to win just because the competition's so tough. You get certain tracks you could try some of this stuff and, be off a little bit and still could win the race. But I mean, when you're up there, you better be pretty good to even win at a local level.
So you're talking of all the places you race, on the tour or locally, is there one non USMTS local driver that stands out to you as the best local driver of anywhere you go?
I mean, I always kind of thought, like Jim kind of was, or Jake, but like I would say like Brandon Davis. I mean, he's got the talent and, whatever. He could probably go win anywhere, and
Right.
he can, He's always, and it's been that way for years, probably 10 or 15, 12, whatever, and at least 10 years. I know, he was been good in whatever he's been in. And you get him any of them tracks, he's a threat to win or good pick to win.
Yeah.
He's
Be
one
fun
guy
to
I
see
wish
him run
on the
tour one
tour.
year.
Yeah, that would be if he had.
Rodney's probably
someone-
like, I'm glad he's not on tour. So one
Yeah.
more guy I got to worry about every freaking night.
Take him away from the local stuff. I'd be fine with that.
Zach's like, I just want to win a fucking modified
God,
race. Like, take the drivers.
Get all these guys out of here. Let me race against about 10 of you.
I think we should just go cherry pick and find them tracks to get 4 or 5 cars a night and just cherry pick wins. They don't mean much, but the win's a win.
If I'd have
it's
gotten that
not
one at
bad.
Mason, I wouldn't have a problem at all. Then you guys could come the rest of my life. But
Still sour about Mason City.
Were
won't
you
get
there
over
that
it.
night, Rodney, when he led all the laps?
Yeah, I thought he was going to win the race. He was actually
Freaking Parker had to go
nicely
blow an
timed.
oil. Parker had to blow an oil line and let the top dry up because they spent 20 minutes because Parker piled up the field and
40
Yep.
pace laps.
all
Yeah, no
Zach had to
shit.
do was just stay in the brown, and by the time they got Parker's freaking oil cleaned up, the brown was now black,
was-
and here comes Jake on the bottom. It got
Blame
all
Parker.
packed in, all that gummy stuff went from
Oh,
gummy to
I
slick.
felt so bad that night because I blew that oil line and then collected Brandon, and then Williamson smoked him, and Brandon was so mad. Not at me, just at the situation, but it just sucks when people get tore up.
Well,
for-
Brandon thought he screwed up. Originally, he thought it was him that screwed up, but
It's terrible there anyway because the sun is so bad getting into turn 3.
Oh, it's horrible.
terrible.
so
So
bad.
there's times in that, the opening of the wall right there. That's it was like the absolute worst time, for that to happen.
There's
Yeah.
nothing worse than just driving into a corner blind and just be like, God, I hope I don't just clobber this wall, or there's not someone sitting here that I don't see right now.
I hit that same spot too. Like the next lap, like right after you did it, I hit that, and I thought I just kind of got tight because I started going towards the wall, and then like I turned off of it, luckily, and then a lap later, all those guys just smoked it. But you cannot see going into 3. Like they probably, as soon as the shade hit him, he was probably already in the wall.
Yeah, it's terrible.
What are your thoughts on that place since Todd brought the wall on? Do you like it better or you like it worse?
I mean, I don't really know. Like I don't think it's worse by any means. I mean, it's just, I like the fact that it's very fast for the sides. Like, you're just wide open. Seems like, especially if there's a grip. And I felt like when it was, the wall was further out, it was even worse. Like it was like last year for that, I think it was like the 25,000 race and it was hammered down.
Yeah,
I was
that
just
was
thinking, I'm like, man, the motor's, it's just so fast. So I
That-
mean, I think it's probably good. It still races to me a lot the same, but I think it did help that fact just a little bit that it's not just so hard on motors.
Yeah, you guys were hauling ass that night. Jim was leading that sucker, and about the only time I've ever seen that kid screw up. He jumped the cushion with the right front and ripped the nose off the thing, and Tanner ended up winning it.
Yep.
Dude, the
But-
track was so fast that night. We were watching on Parker's bachelor party.
Yes, we
Oh,
were.
that's
my
right,
God.
we were.
You
Yep.
could not get off the top hardly.
Nope.
Yeah.
That was
I never saw that place or raced on it when it was as banked as it was last year, but just from the TV, it looks like going into 3. I mean, you could just
Wide
or
open.
that sucker,
last
bury
year-
it down on the nose and rotate and get off.
last year going down turn 3. It felt like I was just rolling down a hill every time I would enter on the top in 3 when it was super banked.
So much banking.
I
Yeah.
still think one of the most banked racetracks I've ever been on. I mean, Fountain City and Deer Creek are pretty ham banked, but we're so used to that. But about 2017, we drove down to Springfield, Missouri, and raced on the little quarter mile.
Yeah.
That place is banked. You get in on turn 1, and that sucker's just it's like a roller coaster ride. You get up on that cushion and you haul ass up there.
Yep.
Yeah.
What's the most banked track you've been on, Rodney? I mean, I'm sure you've raced at Salina, Lakeside's pretty banked, Springfield's banked. Is there one that I don't know. Is there one that
I've heard
sticks out?
Belleville used to
for all
be.
of
Is
them?
it Bellevue, Kansas? Used to be pretty wild.
Yeah, I actually never raced on the big track. We were there a couple years ago on the infield track, and it was really small.
Yeah.
The late models were there on the big track the first day, and then I think everyone got together just because it was so hard on stuff that they decided to run on the small track the next day. So, Salina's pretty banked. I remember going, which it's been years ago now, like this track in Osborne, Missouri. It was like US 36 Raceway, I think. It was really banked. But I-70 in Missouri, we were there a couple years ago, and it was banked pretty good, but I think that was the fastest I've ever been in a modified. It's like size-wise, I've been the bigger ones, but the way the bank was and the way the shape of the track, it was, I mean, super fast.
Is that the night you and Lucas had a
won,
really
right?
good race?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep, I remember that.
Yeah.
You won it, didn't you?
Yeah, barely.
Yeah, I remember that race.
Yeah, it's which it dried out that night, but I remember early in the night it was really quick.
Is there a race on that tour that you haven't won that you want to win? I mean, you've won just about.
I've never won at Ovalville.
Oh, really?
Really?
Yeah, I've ran second a couple times, but I've never won there. So it'd be kind of cool to get a. I just kind of always I like the place. I just never kind of wouldn't say. I mean, struggle a little bit, and then when we do run good, it's second or third. I think I ran second or third probably 4 or 5 times, but never won there.
So now we're talking wins. What win stands out? Is there one what's your favorite win? You won how many races over the years? What's number one?
I'm gonna say probably the 40,000 at the Masters that year. Just for the money, but like I don't know, last year and this year, I mean, it's pretty special to me to have like Rowan and my dad at the racetrack, and they both don't get to go often very much, and we won Cedar Lake this year with both of them there, and then the Memorial Day at Deer Creek last year, and actually the first night of the Jamboree. But that's really special when I can have my family there. I mean, obviously they won bigger money races, but it's pretty awesome to have both of them there, at the same time.
Is Cedar Lake the most you've ever won? The 40?
Yep.
So the only thing you can do to top that is Waco this weekend or 125 next year.
Yep. That would be pretty awesome for sure. So it's I don't know. It's gonna be tough, but I mean anytime you can win, 10,000 or 5,000 is cool. So, it's pretty awesome to win a race like that.
Heck yeah. Is there a pre-entry list for that show this weekend? I mean, there's got to be a ton of cars signed up.
If you go to their Facebook, just about everybody's on there except Jake. I couldn't find Jake. I don't know what he's doing, but
I think he's got a wedding or something.
Oh yeah.
Isn't it
Yeah.
No,
yeah.
For some reason I
think he's got a wedding.
For some reason I thought Jacob Leese was getting married, but maybe I'm wrong.
I don't think so.
I don't think not this weekend. I don't know who it is, but I don't think it's Jacob.
Gotcha.
But I'm pretty sure he was. I think Spencer said he was in a wedding or something.
Spencer's probably just fucking.
Oh, it's Jared Biggerstaff. That's who it is.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he was just said. Yeah. Gotcha. So. No, what? God, I was gonna ask something else here.
Small cube, big cube. That was the one you wanted to ask him.
Oh yeah. So you've obviously had a lot of different cars, different motor combinations. Do you have a car that stands out over all the years that's like your favorite? Like even if it's 4 or 5 years, do you have one that just for whatever reason feels better than others, or it's like your go lucky car?
I've had a couple. I mean, I haven't necessarily had I would say a bad one, but there's been a couple over the years. I would say there's 2 or 3 that's really stood out, and I've kept them. This car I just sold, we ran it all of 22, all of 23, almost all of this year. And, finally ended up selling it, but kind of didn't want to let it go just because it's been so good. And then 2014, I think we won, I don't know, bunch of races in that car with, I think a couple years we ran it, and that thing was just, really good.
You were lights out in that thing. I remember that first year. No one really knew what an MB Customs was. It's kind of crazy to think about that now, but I remember it was like Rodney got in this MB car and it had the big long MB nose on it, and it was just
they were sick when we
they were so cool.
So
and you
cool.
Just smoked everyone that year, and it was like all of a sudden it was like there was like a 5-6 year stretch where it was just like MB.
Everybody had
all
a
there
car.
was in the field.
Yeah, for sure. There was a couple. I mean, that were just, really good. And then, there's some that I, would sell just quick, somebody wanted one and, just kind of offered me something I couldn't refuse. So, there's some I didn't really get a fair shake at some, but it just seems like some of my stuff's better the longer I run it. So I don't know. I mean, I wouldn't be scared of running so I got 2 cars now running either one of them, but there's just you just kind of have like a favorite car or a favorite motor, or just you could build 2 of the same and one just seems a little better.
Yeah.
Do you ever think about getting back into like full-time late model stuff, or are you kind of past that?
I mean, I would love to, with the right opportunity. Obviously, it costs a lot of money and
Yeah.
just never, don't get me wrong, we had some good help and, help make stuff happen, but it just never, couldn't quite fund to do everything we really needed to do and go, travel more and, obviously need more crew help and,
Yeah.
just costs a lot more. But no, I'd love to do that, but just hasn't really worked out, and we don't really have anything right now, so we're just trying to do what we can. I feel like spend the least and make the most, so that's
Yeah.
kind of where we
Makes
are.
sense. Yep.
Did you run like MLRA stuff mainly? Is that what you did?
Yeah, we ran it all of 1 year, I believe. I don't remember, 16 or 17. We ran the whole tour. And then we would, just run pick and choose races. We still ran our mod some at some of the bigger ones, but we would run, just, we would go to Knoxville, some of them races, and went to Eldora I think once, but we never got, traveled tons. We just kind of kept it kind of in the area, but
Mhm.
but yeah, we did run the MLRA tour 1 year.
What's does Eldora compare to anything you've run in your mod? I mean, I've never been there. Everyone I've talked to has said Eldora is just like nowhere else in the country. Does it compare to anything that you've raced in your mod?
Man, not really. I know like running the fence there. I mean, like I said, I was only there the one time, but running the fence there is pretty tough. It's kind of like running. I don't even know if it's comparable to like running Fountain City, but kind of how like when it's against the wall there and it's like you got to be pretty much on it to be make up any speed. I feel like I mean, I wouldn't even say that really compares to it, but that would probably be something, just how you got to run the wall. But it's really, it looks wide. I mean, it is wide, but it's a lot narrower in person than I thought. Like when I first got there, we parked by the entrance of turn where you go on the track. I think it's turn 1, but it was definitely. I mean, it is wide, but it's definitely narrower than it looks on TV to me.
No, every race you watch there, it looks like an awesome place. It's somewhere I wanna watch a race in my lifetime. There and Fairbury are 2 places
I
I've
don't know. We
never
need to
been
take a trip and
that I
do
want to
that.
go to.
Let's talk to Todd. Maybe Staley will put that on the old tour next year.
Yeah, Eldora and Fairbury next year on the
Yeah.
USMTS tour.
Right.
Have you ever raced at Fairbury?
I've never have. Nope.
That place looks awesome. That's probably the #1 track in the country that I want to go watch a race at sometime.
Yeah, it's awesome to watch for sure. I mean, that's probably one of the best, if you're gonna, watch a race, that's probably one of the best ones. Other than it seems like Eldora heat races are always pretty awesome to watch because they're so stacked, and the track's got a lot of speed in it, so it's always a lot of fun to watch.
For sure.
Or good old Deer Creek Jamboree Friday night.
Pretty hard to go wrong with the Friday night
2.5 inches of rain.
Yeah.
But well, Rodney, we won't keep you on here too long. You've been driving all day. Yeah, we really appreciate getting you on. Do you want to just take a second and thank all the people that support you and some names on your race cars? Let people know maybe your social media where they can buy merchandise. Just go through some of that stuff.
Yeah, definitely a lot of people I got to thank. Tons of people, a lot of people that's been with me a long time and some new ones, but I got to thank Army Contractors, City Valley Transportation, obviously Keith Hammett Construction, Paulson Rock Products, MB Custom Race Cars, Hatfield Race Engines, Kenny Tile, Olson Custom Farms, RVB Transport, Smith Brothers, Smith family, Dan Christopher with Sanitation Resources. Let's see, my dad, my wife, she's a big part of it too. She doesn't ever complain about anything I do, so I got to thank her a lot. Obviously my crew, Blake, it's just Blake and I, and he does a great job. Let's see, Barnett, Harley, Integra Shock, Swift Springs, Hibner Logging, Midwest Paint, Fast Shafts, FK Rod Ends, CMD Shocks. There's like you guys know, I mean, every little bit helps. Weird Machine, Chad helps a lot of people. Just gotta thank just everybody that pitches in and does what they can, and it's even buying t-shirts. We got website rodneysandersracing.net, so just every little bit helps. Just even if it's pit passes or entry fees or whatever, so it all adds up.
Awesome, man.
Right on.
Well,
Appreciate you coming on
yeah,
here.
we sure appreciate getting you on. Like you said, guys, get on, support them, buy a t-shirt, follow them on social media. But yeah, we thank you for taking time out of your night, man. We wish you the best of luck at Waco, and yeah, we'll see you around. Thanks for joining us.
Yep, no problem. Thanks.
Appreciate it, Ronnie.
Yep, see ya.
Thanks. See you later.